How long does it take to wind an automatic watch automatically with just the everyday movements of your body? That's what this video is hoping to find out today. Welcome to the channel, by the way. This is the 1010 Club. My name is Jonah, and we have 3 experiments. There are timestamps if you want to jump around. They're all being undertaken with my new favorite watch from Zeppelin, their LZ-129 automatic. It has a beautiful power reserve up top that will help us keep track of how much power has been added throughout the day. So experiment number 1 is how much you add with just everyday activities. I wear the watch on my wrist while I just hang around the house, go on the computer, nothing too serious. The second experiment is how much power is added through active activity, moving around. I'll be hopping on the treadmill that is literally on the other side of this wall here in the basement, and we'll see how much that adds to the power reserve. And thirdly, it'll be just a good old-fashioned wind fest. Starting at 0, how many turns of the crown does it take to get to a full 40 hours of power reserve in Zeppelin's case? Well, let's find out. As you see, the power reserve is down at 0. That's where that minimum word is there. And I put it on my wrist. Fast forward 4 hours. We are now at 12:20 something. And as you can see, boom, normal activity has got me all the way up to about 14 hours of power reserve. 14 hours of normal activity. Skip ahead another 4 hours to 4:20. And it looks like I only gained about an hour or 2. So, 14 hours for the first chunk, only 2 hours for the second chunk. What about the third chunk? Well, not much better. Okay, so the first chunk was 14 hours, second chunk was 1 hour, and here we are again. It went from 15 to about 18, so a 3-hour jump. Not really a lot of power reserve being added. So what happened? Well, movement happened. So the first 4 hours of the day, when it went from 0 to 14, that was definitely the most active part of my day. I drove my car, so I was moving my hand around the steering wheel. I went and voted, so I moved my hand like this and said, this person, yes. And that honestly was it. But I was moving around. I was active. It got me 14 hours of power reserve. The next rest of the day was just me on the computer. And I got to tell you, a lot of people use Fitbits, Apple Watches to remind you to get up and be active. All I had to do was look at that power reserve, and I saw I only got an hour of added power reserve in 4 hours. I got to stand up. I got to start moving. And that continued throughout the day. So it really does depend on how much activity you're planning on doing throughout your normal day. If I was only on my computer and I didn't take my car out and I didn't go vote, I probably would have only got about 3 to 5 hours of power reserve added. So I'm not sure that just wearing this watch normally would be enough to get this watch to its full winding capabilities. All right, let's move on to experiment number 2, and that's on the treadmill. So I'm not going to exactly go from 0 all the way up to 40, but here we are on the treadmill. It is at, we're going to call that 34. So 34 hours of power reserve. Time for me to hit the treadmill. I think I'm doing it at a 4.6 speed, so about 4.6 miles an hour. Pretty quick. And as you can see, in just 5 minutes, boom, all the way up to 40. So it went 5 hours of power reserve from 35 to 40 in just, let's double check, in just 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So again, it really does depend on the kind of activity you're doing. If you're just sitting around the house, maybe do this every once in a while to make sure your watch gets wound, because it's not going to otherwise. Lastly, it's going to be the winding experiment. So join me as we count. Well, you should see too. So I'll switch camera angles and we will find out together. By the way, again, there are timestamps if you don't want to hang out with me as we wind, but if you are going to stick around, thanks for keeping me company. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like the Tootsie Pop owl. How many licks? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Also, I guess all winds are not created equal. I'm trying to just wind it as much as I can. Whatever. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. What if I messed up the count halfway through and you paid attention and I didn't? You'd be so mad. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Oh, come on. 31. Okay, so winding it normally, at least for me and my hand, what does it matter, hand size? 31 winds it takes to go from 0 to a full 40 hours of power reserve with this watch anyhow, the Zeppelin LZ-129 automatic. All right, back up to my face. So there you have it. A little bit of fine print. The Zeppelin watch we've been using today has a Miyota 9000 movement inside, which has a unidirectional winding rotor, or unidirectional spinning rotor, whatever you want to call it. That means it only winds the watch in one direction. In the other direction, it just freely spins, which is the most inefficient way of using a rotor. If you have a bidirectional winding watch, like almost any Seiko, for instance, the 7S26, for example, that rotor is winding the watch both ways it spins, so it will get more juice per movement. So I'm calling this the bare minimum experiment. So the least amount of power reserve you can get from a watch, because this only has a unidirectional winder. Winder, spinner, you know what I'm saying. It's the end of the video. Let's wrap it up here. Thanks for hanging out with me again today. At least 2 new videos every week on this channel, so a subscription really does help. Thanks for hanging out with me as always. If this was helpful to you in any way, you can hit that like button or let me know below in the comments, and I'll see you soon.